Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Where do we begin with this? There's a lot to cover in this episode. Arsenal have started talks with Saudi Arabia in order to open up a market for our dispensable players. We are talking Gabriel Jesus, Partey, Nketiah, and all these other players that Arsenal would love to get some money, some good money out of. Arsenal talking to Saudi Arabia in order to open up a market in that area. Obviously, we know Saudi Arabia can pay crazy money if you give them a reason to. We're also going to be talking about the Athletics' reasons for Partey and Gabriel Jesus suddenly falling from starters and non-touchable players to dispensable players this summer, with the Athletic reporting 4 good reasons why Gabriel Jesus' career at Arsenal is seemingly over. Now, can he turn his career around? Can he become, a much more reliable player? I don't think that's going to be at Arsenal. We'll obviously dive into the reason as to why Partey as well is no longer untouchable, and he has become dispensable. But in my opinion, if Gabriel Jesus is dispensable, a player who's not been very unreliable, I think Thomas Partey just becomes automatically dispensable. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I would like you to read The Athletic. It's a very good source of information. It's a very good source to this channel as well. So let's start off with the big story of Edu and his compatriots running to Saudi Arabia to open up new markets for Arsenal's dispensable players. Now, this was according to David Ornstein, but he's also quoted in a new edition of The Athletic, written by James McNicholas, call him Ghana blog, who reports extensively on Arsenal. And they're saying that Arsenal sporting director Edu Gaspar and his assistant Jason Ato visited the Saudi Arabia last week on what is being described as a meet and greet trip, which focused on getting to know the relevant Saudi Arabia pro league personnel and processes, rather than discussing individual players and potential deals. That's according to David Ornstein. So just to wrap up and just to give you a much bigger perspective of what that means, they went there for a meet and greet, and they didn't discuss individual players. They also didn't discuss potential deals. And basically, if you know business, if you've done business, if you want to open up a market somewhere, the first thing you do is build rapport and build a relationship, and get to know the way their processes work, the way they do business, and things like that. So that's what Edu did. They went there to try and understand if we were to sell to Saudi Arabia, what are their culture, what are their beliefs, what do they really want in terms of footballing infrastructure, what have they set up, and things like that. And that trip, we can say, has been a success. And off the back of that trip, we have got 2 big stories. And the first one came out yesterday when we announced that Jorginho will be staying at Arsenal, and therefore the future of Thomas Partey looks like it is set in stone. He's going to be leaving, and maybe he's one of the players Arsenal will look to sell to Saudi Arabia. We know Saudi Arabia interested. Even last summer, Saudi Arabian clubs came in for Thomas Partey, but Arsenal said, we are not sure. We are not really ready to sell unless Thomas Partey is pushing for a move, which Partey was not actually doing. Then we were not going to sell Partey last summer. But this summer, I think it's different. I think the line has been drawn. The wanted players already know that they are wanted, and the unwanted players are also on the other side. They know we are unwanted at this football club and we will be leaving, right? So that's the truth. So Edu Gaspar into Saudi Arabia, opening up a new market for Gabriel Jesus, for Thomas Partey, for Mohamed Elneny, Cedric Soares, and all these players sounds like a smart move. It's a very good move, because with financial fair play, it means that clubs are not going to be able to clubs are not going to be able to buy your fringe players or your dispensable players for a lot of money. So we bought Gabriel Jesus for around £45 million from Manchester City. But right now, I don't think there's so many clubs that are going to go and pay 60 million for Gabriel Jesus. Honestly, we're going to talk about the problems of Gabriel Jesus as a player. And again, you're not going to get 30 million from a Thomas Partey in a European market. That's the truth. So what clubs are trying to do, and what the likes of Edu, Chelsea, Liverpool are trying to do at the moment, is they're trying to attract offers from markets that can spend crazy amounts of money on such players. And that's a very good deal for Arsenal. If you can sign David Raya for 30 million, who is 27 and is going to play for this football club for the next 8 years, and you sell Partey for 30 million, a guy that is no longer fit, a guy that is no longer reliable. He's fit but no longer reliable. That is very good business. If you can sell Gabriel Jesus for 60 million or 70 million, and then you get that 70 million and invest in a Victor Gyökeres, that is actually a very good deal. So I think the Saudi Arabian market is going to help Arsenal very much. If we can get players to go there, it's going to help us very, very much. Now, let's start off with the Gabriel Jesus statements. According to The Athletic, these are the 4 reasons, and I've read this article extensively by the Ghana blog. Just Mark Nicholas has done a very good job. These are the 4 reasons why Gabriel Jesus is going to be sold and is now considered touchable and dispensable this summer. Number 1, he's available this summer at the right price. So listen, his contract runs down in 2027, which gives Arsenal a lot of negotiation power. It gives us a lot of power in negotiations with clubs. He still has a long-term deal. Arsenal can decide to say, if no one gives us more than 60 million, we are not selling. And of course, it's a quality forward. We've seen his form and we have seen his quality in the UEFA Champions League. It's not one of those players that you say he's finished. He's far from finished, right? And we're going to talk about his injuries and what he has talked about his injuries as a player himself. But the general picture is that clubs will want to sign Gabriel Jesus. And if the right amount of money comes in this summer, Arsenal cannot turn it down. Arsenal cannot afford to turn it down for a guy who's got a knee that you're not sure if you can rely on for the next 2-3 years. So that's the truth. Available for the right amount of money this summer, you've got to sell, right? I mean, you can look at players like Odegaard. There is no price on Odegaard. There is no price on Saka. There is no price on Declan Rice. But with Gabriel Jesus, he's fallen into that category where if the club has a good offer and they consider that offer good enough, you've got to sell him. So that's the first reason as to why he's going to be sold. Secondly, his ongoing knee issue and concern over the Copa America place is something that Arsenal are also considering. Now, his ongoing knee issue started in 2022 when he was representing Brazil at the World Cup. And ever since then, he's not been himself. Actually, James Nicholas, writing in that story, he says that he has only missed 6 games, through injury. But it kind of feels like more. It kind of feels like he's been out for a whole season. And that's the issue. Arsenal have not trusted any players that they deem not fit enough to play, especially coming from injury. So we talk about Takehiro Tomiyasu, we talk about Fabio Vieira, we talk about Gabriel Jesus and Thomas Partey. All these players were fit to play for Arsenal as early as January. But you can document how many times Partey has played for Arsenal or has started games for Arsenal, the same as Gabriel Jesus, the same as Fabio Vieira, and the same as Takehiro Tomiyasu. So there is an element of mistrust from Mikel Arteta, and there's an element of mistrust from the coaching staff and department with these players that have been in and out, in and out, in and out. And that explains very well why you've seen Mikel Arteta choosing almost 13 consistent players every single time, despite the fact that he's got to rotate, and he knows that he's got to rotate, and he would love to rotate, right? So Gabriel Jesus, that injury problem is going to cost him and has already cost him a place in this Arsenal side. Because again, just Mark Nicholas says, in that article, that Kai Havertz's presence and availability has changed Arsenal's attacking structure. And Mikel said a couple of I think it was a couple of months ago that Gabriel Jesus changed our world. But Arsenal's world has now changed faster and quicker, more than what Gabriel Jesus can actually adapt to. He's had injuries, and they have affected him. He has had his own goal scoring problem in front of goal, and that has actually affected him as well. And one of the other thing, of course, that has been talked about here is the shot conversion rate of Gabriel Jesus, which is just 7% as compared to Kai Havertz's 21%, and of course the role the role of Kai Havertz and his success up front as well. Those are some of the reasons why Gabriel Jesus is going to be dispensable this summer. And when I look at the reasons, when I read the article, I cannot disagree. I honestly cannot disagree. It's much more the truth. Honestly, it's much more the truth, right? Even if we consider Thomas Partey, who is the big headline in this video, even if Thomas Partey is the guy that you want to defend, and I know many people in the comment box below on the recent video have told me Cossy, it's a wrong decision. Don't sell Thomas Partey. He's got to stay and all that. And I think the love this Arsenal fan base has for Thomas Partey it's undeniable. It's pure, it's true. He's a player that plays very, very few minutes for Arsenal. He doesn't appear on the pitch a lot of the time, but the fan base love him and the fan base really trust in him. But honestly, question after question, is Thomas Partey reliable? He's not. And that's the truth. And that's the end. Because you cannot keep on blaming Mikel Arteta for dropping a player who is not reliable. You can't, right? It's the same thing with Gabriel Jesus. The manager cannot be blamed for, the manager cannot be blamed for players that are not reliable, right? Injury issues happen, inconsistencies in performances happen, but you can't blame the manager. You simply cannot blame the manager. As simple as that. So if I look at the comment section of the recent video that we have actually put out on the channel talking about Partey's departure and Bruno Guimaraes and replacements, I can say that most of the people on the channel actually believe Thomas Partey should be staying, right? I think this was the first comment. Cossy, Thomas is amazing. Well, agreed. But the playing time with injury is not helping us. I like the man for real, right? And then another comment says, came on and said, because we need a huge team to compete in England and for Europa, let's keep Thomas Partey. Again, that's another comment. And then there was another comment from Robin who said, for me, I kind of think that if we let Partey go and his replacement is brought in, then Jorginho's replacement should be brought in as early as winter next season. So you can see that people, this fan base trusts Thomas Partey. They love Thomas Partey unconditionally. We love and we trust Thomas Partey unconditionally. But he cannot be fit. He can't stay fit, right? And if Arsenal were to sell him to Saudi Arabia, it would undeniably be a very good deal. Undeniably. And I'm saying undeniably, it would be a very good deal. Because Saudi Arabia will be willing to give us in excess of 25 million. Right? In excess of 25 million for a player like Thomas Partey. In my opinion, take that money and run. It's as simple as that, right? It's as simple as that. Take that money and run. 25 plus million for a 31-year-old who is no longer as important in Mikel Arteta's plans. Take that money and run. And there are not many clubs, actually there are no clubs in Europe that are going to give you 30 million for Thomas Partey. They all say, he's running out of contract. He is old. He is injury prone. He is unreliable. The thing with Saudi Arabia is they're planning life before and after the World Cup that they want to host. So that means that they're buying brands. They're buying brand value. They're not buying legs. Okay, that doesn't sound right. What I'm trying to say is that they're not buying how fit a player is, right? So look at the players they're buying: Benzema, in his dying days, not dying days, but in the dying days of his career, Ronaldo, dying days of his career. But they're trying to purchase brands. They're trying to purchase players that have, a likable element to them. So if you are, Theo Walcott, maybe you might not be the guy, right? But if you're brandable, right? Thomas Partey, African, one of the really talented African players on the market right now. Yeah, they'll look at you and they'll try to they'll try to sign you. So listen, whatever happens, I still think that the Saudi Arabia market is a good one. I don't know if players like Edin Ketia are going to be considered for the Saudi Arabian market. Honestly, with Edin Ketia, if Arsenal went 35 million, like James McNicholas says, then does he say that they went that million? It might be difficult for us to get that money around Europe. So again, Saudi Arabia could actually kick in, and let's wait and see what's going to happen out of there.